Since April 6th and 7th, this is the second hardest. April 6th and 7th was the hardest. For me, this is the second hardest because I had to face Mr. Sidhu. I had to speak to him, so that was harder for me. The other things were kind of a little more celebratory, and this one's just tough.
I found it really hard. Saskatchewan's cold. And every time we would drive to Saskatchewan for all Jackson's games over the last 2 years, we'd always make comment how cold it is. The roads were always dangerous. The roads were always scary. And when we got off the plane on Sunday to drive here, it was hard on my heart. I had anxiety. It's like if anyone here has lost someone, it's like a big heavy rock on your chest, and it hurts.
Will you be staying?
I feel like, for me, it's almost like a baby's blanket. When Trish Wack came out of the funeral home ahead of us, she had a lock of Stephen's hair, and I made the decision that I'm going to take something of Jackson's that I want to hold, and I took his socks off his feet, and they've been in my pocket ever since. And some days I wear a different jacket and I forget that they're in there, and it catches me off guard, but it's like a safety blanket, a comfort blanket for me.
I just spoke from my heart. Him driving through the stop sign broke the law. Too many semi-trucks are driving through stop signs and breaking laws, and it's still happening. Even today, people were calling us and telling us stories how 2 days ago someone almost got T-boned by a semi-truck. Another one of the boys on the team today called his dad in the morning saying that another semi-truck drove right through the stop sign at a four-way stop, didn't have a clue that he was there. It continues to happen, and we need to fight for these boys. We need to fight for the 29 people that were on that bus. And as a mom, when you can't help your child, you can't protect them and hold them, the only way I can help them is by fighting and sticking up for what's right. This country needs to crack down. We need to have stricter rules and stricter laws. It's not right just because they're bigger. Why should semi-trucks just be arrogant and drive through stop signs? What gives them the right to make that choice? We can't drive through a stop sign. We'd be in jail. Why are these guys still driving around and going through stop signs and hurting our families? Because it's not a mistake to drive through a stop sign. It's not an accident. You see a stop sign, you have a driver's license. It's not an accident, it is not a mistake. You cold-heartedly went through that knowing what you were doing, and you damaged our poor boys. It's not an accident when you do that. That was a collision, exactly what Christina said.
So you don't believe it was distraction or inattention? You think he made a choice?
He chose to go through there because he didn't know how to drive that semi-truck. There were no skid marks. His cruise control was still engaged. He chose to go through that stop sign.
So I think what we're getting at is the intention, and we think his intention was to continue on, take a chance. I think a lot of our concerns, mine is for sure the ease at how easy it is to get a license. It's the trucking industry in Western Canada has been the Wild West for the last 20 years, and it's not fair to the good companies. And I always say, so let's say this driver, he puts a bid to carry peat moss, but they're cutting corners. So their bid comes in way under than a quality trucking company, a good trucking company. And somebody wants to save money. And so by saving money, they go with the lesser qualified, lesser experienced trucking company, which is frustrating to the good companies, but they do that to cut corners, and the results we have are dangerous drivers. I know that Mr. Sidhu had what they said were enough hours to be on the wheel, or to be behind the wheel, but I don't know that those hours weren't in the passenger seat logging for his partner while he's collecting hours, and then they just put him behind the wheel. I don't know that. Well, for me, that shows a bad company. So I have mixed feelings when it comes to Mr. Sidhu. He's obviously guilty of what I feel is his intention to go through, but he wasn't trained properly. He shouldn't have been in that driver's seat, and that's somebody else's fault. And that person that trained him, maybe they were told that some of these stop signs are optional in Saskatchewan, or, you know, so there's a systemic problem. It's not just him. There's a problem, and it needs to be fixed. And I know that Transport Canada is trying to fix it, but there is a problem, and it goes much deeper than the driver of that truck.
I think you guys know what I want from my statement. It was 16 lives, and it's typically 14 years per life. That's what he should get. He shouldn't be out. But
I feel like whatever the sentence is, we're going to be disappointed. If it were 14 years, we're going to be disappointed. I think the only thing that would leave us not disappointed would be something new, something different, something that set precedent. And it's a tough thing for a judge to do.